The carrier's horse was the laziest horse in the world. It went slowly along with its head down, as if it liked to keep people waiting for their things. We went down many little lanes, leaving a box at one house, a bed at another. Peggy had a basket of food on her knee. We ate a great deal and we slept a great deal, but it was such a long journey that I was quite tired and very glad when we saw Yarmouth. The country at Yarmouth was quite flat. The sea came in among the houses of the town. It was not easy to tell where the town ended and the sea began. We came into a street which smelled of fish and stopped at an inn. "Here's Ham!" cried Peggy. "How big he has grown!" He was a big fellow, very tall, but his face was like a boy's face and he had light curly hair. He was waiting for us outside the inn. He carried me on his back and my box under his arm. Peggy carried another box. We turned down lanes covered with sand. We passed boat builders' houses and rope makers' houses and all sorts of places where the different parts of a ship are made. At last we came to an open sandy place. "There is our house, David," said Ham. I looked in all directions but could not see any house anywhere. There was a large blackboard not far off with an iron pipe fixed in the top of it, and smoke was coming out of the pipe, but I could not see a house anywhere. "Is that it? That thing that looks like a boat?" I asked. "Yes, that's it," said Ham. I was delighted. There was a door cut in the side of the boat, and it had little windows in the sides. The top was covered with a roof. What pleased me was that this was a real boat which had been out on the sea. It was never meant to be used as a house on the land. It was such fun to live in a boat on dry land. We went into the house. It was very clean inside. There was a table and a clock and pictures on the wall. There were chairs and boxes used as chairs. Then Peggy opened a little door and showed me my bedroom. It was a very nice little bedroom in the back part of the boat. The walls were white. There was a looking glass with shells round it. I noticed the very strong smell of fish in the house. Peggy said that her brother's work was catching shellfish. We had fish for dinner. Later, a dark hairy man came. He kissed Peggy, who was his sister. He was Mr. Peggy. "I'm glad to see you, sir," Mr. Peggy said to me. "We are proud to have you here." Then he went off and washed, and when he came back his face was very red. I thought that his face was like one of those shellfish which turn red when you cook them. We sat by the fire in the evening, and I learned that Ham was not the son of Mr. Peggy, but of his brother, who was drowned at sea. When I went to bed, I heard the noise of the wind and the sea, and I dreamed that our boat was at sea and that Mr. Peggy was the captain. The 2 weeks went by much too quickly, it seemed. I was very sad when the carriage cart started, and as the cart moved away, I felt an emptiness in my heart, but I was glad to be on my way to my mother. I said so. But Peggy did not seem so happy. She seemed very sad. We reached the house at last. I remember the cold grey afternoon and the dark rain clouds. The door opened and I ran towards it full of joy. But there was a strange servant at the door. "Why, Peggotty," I said, "hasn't she come home?" "Yes, yes, David," said Peggotty. "She's come home." "Wait, I want to tell you something." "What's the matter?" I asked anxiously. "Why hasn't Mother come to the gate? Is she dead?" "No, no, she isn't dead." "No," said Peggotty. "I ought to have told you before. You have got a new father." It was a terrible shock. "Come and see him," she said. We went into the sitting room and she left me there. On one side of the fire sat my mother, and on the other side sat Mr. Murdstone.